It's a gray November morning, the kind that seeps into your bones before you even step outside. The factory windows are fogged up, the smell of oil and metal hangs in the air, and somewhere deep in the building, the machines are already humming. I'm sitting in front of Craig, my boss, watching him flip through my promotion request like it's a flyer for a discount tire sale. 5 years. 5 years of extra shifts. 5 years of late nights and missed weekends with my kids. 5 years of fixing every broken system no one else could touch. All of that work, stacked neatly in a binder he barely glances at. He gives me that fake smile that means the meeting's already over. "Rick," he says, "your work's been fine, but you're just not leadership material yet." Not leadership material. Those 3 words hit harder than I expect. Like someone punched me square in the chest. But I keep my face straight. No emotion. I've been in this place too long to lose it over a few words. I take a breath. "Craig," I say carefully, "I've been here since the last foreman walked out without leaving a single note. I rebuilt this floor from scratch. I've kept our biggest client happy for years. If that's not leadership," he cuts me off, shaking his head. "You're a great worker, Rick. One of the best. But we need someone who can manage people, not just problems." I feel my jaw tighten. My gut twists, but I don't let it show. I want to tell him he's wrong, that I have been leading quietly in the shadows, that I've trained half his team without any credit, that while he's been polishing his office window and smiling at upper management, I've been holding this place together with duct tape and grit. But instead I nod. "Sure, I'll handle it," I say. He smiles again, the kind of smile that doesn't reach his eyes, and slides a stack of papers toward me. "Good. Now, about the supplier issue." That's when I know. The decision doesn't come like lightning. It's slower, heavier, like something that's been building for years finally snapping loose. When the meeting ends, I walk past the glass office with the view I've been eyeing for years. It's empty. The reflection staring back at me is just my own tired face. Outside, in the parking lot, I stop by my truck and make 2 decisions. First, I'm skipping the one vacation I've been planning all year. Second, I'm done writing the daily shop manuals that everyone depends on but no one acknowledges. No more invisible work. No more good soldier routine. I'm the operations foreman at Reading Industrial. Been here 5 years. When I started, the place was chaos. Parts orders missing, vendors furious, machines breaking down every other day. No structure, no system. The old foreman quit midweek and left nothing behind, not even a password list. So I rebuilt everything. I stayed late, worked weekends, missed birthdays, missed my son's first dirt bike race. But I got the place running again. I made manuals for every process, every supplier, every technical workaround. And now, those same manuals keep the whole operation alive. Everyone uses them, no one knows who wrote them. But Craig never learned a damn thing about what I do. He shows up for meetings, takes credit during quarterly reviews, and gives me cost of living raises that don't even cover my gas. Then came the Dawson and Company contract, the big one. The kind of deal that could double our revenue. I did the groundwork, the research, the supplier calls, the logistics. I even built out the system that made the entire partnership possible. Craig just showed up for the handshake photos. He got the bonus. I got another pat on the back. For a while, I told myself that's just how it works. Keep your head down, keep earning, and one day someone will notice. But that morning in Craig's office, I finally saw it for what it was. They never notice. Not unless you stop being invisible. The next morning, I don't show up at 7:30 like I always do. I walk in at 9 sharp. No rush. No guilt. The guys on the floor glance up, surprised. Jimmy from production calls out, "Hey Rick, you see the supplier mess?" I shrug. "That's purchasing's job." He laughs awkwardly. Thinks I'm joking. I'm not. My phone buzzes, Craig, of course. Probably another urgent request to clean up a problem he ignored. I don't answer. For the first time in 5 years, I don't care. By noon, half the team's coming to me about issues. Late parts, jammed machines, backlogged orders. I just keep saying, "Not my problem." And it feels strange. Strange but good. For once, I'm not running around fixing messes I didn't make. For once, I'm not staying late to make other people look competent. I drive home on time. That night, I work on my son's dirt bike with him in the garage. The sound of tools, the smell of oil, it feels good, peaceful. I realize how long it's been since I just existed outside that factory. My phone buzzes all night. I ignore every call. The next morning, I walk into chaos. Machines are down. The Dawson project's in trouble. And Craig's pacing the floor like a man on fire. He spots me. "Rick, we've got a problem with Dawson. I need you to fix this now." I sip my coffee. Calm. Collected. "The manuals are on the shared drive," I say. "Everything you need is in there." He stares at me. "I don't have time for that. You're the only one who knows how to fix this." I meet his eyes. "Then maybe you should have listened when I tried to teach you." His face goes red. I walk away. By that night, I've got 86 missed calls. By the next morning, the Dawson contract's on the edge of collapse. And by the third day, I'm sitting in a conference room with Craig and Martin, our regional director. The tension is thick enough to taste. Martin gets right to it. "Rick, we need you to fix this Dawson situation. Whatever it takes." Craig adds quickly, voice tight, "The promotion's yours. Just get it done." I let the words hang there. Then I lean back. "I'm not interested in a promotion anymore," I say. Craig's face drains of color. "But I'm not finished. A competitor already offered me a senior role. Better pay, better benefits, full control of my team. So if you want me to stay, I want full control." And Craig stays right where he is. Martin blinks, caught off guard. Craig looks like I just hit him with a wrench. I stand, leave my 2-week notice on the table and walk out. For the first time in 5 years, the air outside feels lighter. Colder but lighter. 3 weeks after I walked out of Reading Industrial, the silence still felt strange. No morning alarms. No calls from Craig. No emergency texts about urgent breakdowns that somehow only I could fix. At first, it was disorienting. I'd spent so long being needed that I'd forgotten what it felt like not to be. The first few days, I woke up at 6 out of habit, staring at the ceiling, waiting for a reason to move. Then I realized the reason was gone. And that's when the doubt started whispering. What if I'd made a mistake? What if I wasn't built for anything else? I tried to shut it up by keeping busy. I fixed things around the house, shelves, doors, the water heater. I even helped a neighbor tune his generator. But that kind of work, it's different. It's quiet. It doesn't fight back. In the factory, everything was loud, urgent, alive. Out here, the only thing making noise was my own head. One night, my wife found me sitting in the garage, staring at an old box of tools. She leaned on the doorway. "You miss it." I didn't answer right away. She crossed her arms, waiting. "I miss matching," I said finally. She nodded softly. "Then maybe it's time to build something that's yours." Simple words, but they landed hard. That night I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about all the people like me. The ones who kept their companies alive, never got credit, and just kept swallowing the disrespect because they needed the job. The not leadership material crew. So I made a decision. If the system didn't have room for people like me, I'd build a new system. By January, I'd taken a senior role at a smaller company, Colburn Manufacturing. On paper, it was a step down. Smaller facility, fewer clients, limited resources. But the owner, Sam, gave me what I asked for. Full control of my floor, my team, and my methods. He said, "Make it yours, Rick. I don't care how you do it. Just make it work." That freedom felt like oxygen. The first morning I walked that floor, I saw the same problems all over again. Outdated systems, burned out workers, zero communication between departments. It was Reading Industrial all over, just smaller. But this time I wasn't going to patch leaks. This time I was going to rebuild the damn ship. The first week, I didn't fix anything. Didn't bark orders. Didn't pull rank. I watched. I listened. I walked the floor, coffee in hand, asking questions. "How long have you been here? What's the hardest part of your job? What slows you down the most?" At first, they were suspicious. They'd had managers before. Clipboard tyrants who showed up twice a day, took notes, and disappeared into offices to write emails about efficiency. But I wasn't here to measure them. I was here to understand them. By the end of week 2, they started opening up. Old Joe from shipping told me he'd been lifting 80-pound boxes alone for years because no one ever ordered the lift jack he requested. Sarah from assembly said she stayed late every night fixing alignment errors that came from a machine no one had calibrated in months. Every conversation painted a picture, not of lazy workers, but of people fighting broken systems. So I fixed the systems. I approved Joe's lift jack the next morning. Brought in a technician for Sarah's machine by Friday. And when the accounting team complained about the budget, I told them flatly, if you want output, start respecting the input. Within a month, the floor started to breathe again. Fewer errors, better morale. But the real change wasn't in the numbers, it was in the faces. When people realized I was serious, that their problems actually mattered, they started showing up different. On time, focused, invested. And that's when it hit me. Leadership isn't about managing people. It's about protecting them from the chaos above and around them. It's giving them enough peace to do their best work. 2 months in, the regional director dropped by unannounced. He walked the floor, noticed the calm, the rhythm, the small smiles between coworkers. He pulled me aside. Rick, what did you do here? Everyone's talking about how this place feels different. I just shrugged. I listened. He nodded slowly. You keep this up, you'll have a shot at VP next quarter. I didn't say anything. A year ago, those words would have set my heart racing. Now, they barely registered. Titles didn't impress me anymore. I'd seen too many leaders with titles who couldn't lead a team of 5 through a lunch rush. I didn't want a title. I wanted a legacy. A few weeks later, Sam, the owner, invited me to lunch. Small diner. No suits, no agenda. He said, Rick, I've been watching what you're building, and I've noticed something. People don't just work better for you. They believe in you. That's rare. You've got something special here. I took a sip of coffee. They just needed someone to stop talking and start fixing things. He smiled. You ever think about running your own shop one day? I laughed. I just got here. But that question stuck in my head. Running my own shop. I'd never even considered it before. For years, I'd been chasing approval. Now, for the first time, I was building something I didn't need approval for. That night, I sat in my truck after work, staring at the old factory manual I'd written back at Reading Industrial. Every page full of instructions, everyone ignored. Now I was finally seeing what all that invisible work had prepared me for. Not just to fix things, but to lead without permission. By spring, our floor was outperforming every other division in the region. Production up 30%. Waste down 40%. Employee turnover? Practically zero. The board started asking Sam what kind of training I'd implemented. He told them, none. Just respect. And it's true, that was the whole secret. I stopped treating leadership like a reward. Started treating it like a responsibility. People followed not because they had to, but because they wanted to. Then one Friday afternoon, something unexpected happened. Craig called. The name popped up on my phone like a ghost from another life. For a second, I almost ignored it, but curiosity got the better of me. Rick, he said, voice heavy. We're in trouble. Dawson pulled their contract. We lost 2 major clients. They want someone to consult on recovery, and your name came up. I was hoping you'd consider coming back. Maybe as operations director. For a moment, I didn't say anything. Then I laughed. Not cruelly, just quietly. I appreciate the offer, Craig, but I'm where I need to be. He sighed. You were always the backbone of this place. I should have seen it sooner. Yeah, I said. You should have. We hung up. I stared at the phone for a long time after that, thinking about all the times I'd killed myself trying to earn that man's approval, and how light I felt now that I didn't need it. That night, I drove home with the windows down, air cool against my face, music low, no anxiety about tomorrow, no dread of unread messages, just quiet confidence. When I pulled into the driveway, my son ran out of the garage holding a wrench. Dad, The clutch is slipping again. I laughed. All right, let's fix it. And as I leaned over the dirt bike, showing him how to loosen the bolts, I realized something. Leadership isn't a position. It's an attitude you carry into everything you touch: work, home, life. Because the moment you stop trying to prove your worth, you start living it. A year later, I stood in the same kind of office I used to dream about. Glass walls, clean desks, the faint hum of productivity in the air. Only this time, it wasn't Craig's office. It was mine. We just wrapped our biggest quarter yet. Colburn Manufacturing wasn't the small, struggling facility I joined a year ago. It was now the most efficient operation in the region. We were running leaner, faster, smarter, and more human than anyone else. But more than the numbers, it was the people that made me proud. Sarah had been promoted to team lead. Joe, the guy who used to lift heavy boxes alone, now supervised logistics and trained every new hire personally. And every Friday, like clockwork, I'd walk the floor, same coffee cup in hand, and they'd greet me like an equal, not a boss. That's when I knew we'd built something different here. Something that didn't depend on fear or authority, just respect. One afternoon, I found myself staring at an old photo on my desk. It was from 5 years ago, back at Reading Industrial. You could see me in the corner of the frame, hard hat on, grease on my face, mid-conversation with a mechanic. Behind me, Craig stood in his pressed suit, shaking hands with a regional director. That day, they'd closed a contract I'd spent months preparing for. In the photo, Craig's smiling. I'm not. Looking at it now, I didn't feel bitterness anymore. Just perspective. Back then, I thought being unseen meant being unworthy. But the truth is, some lessons can only grow in the dark. Every late night, every thankless repair, every moment I felt invisible, it was all shaping me into the kind of leader I'd one day need to be. The invisible work was never wasted. It was just waiting for its moment to matter. Later that week, Sam, the owner, dropped by my office. He had that usual calm smile on his face, the kind of expression people get when they're about to change your life and they know it. "Rick," he said, "I've been thinking. I'm looking to step back next year. Spend more time with my family. I need someone who can take over operations permanently." He paused, watching my reaction. "I can't think of anyone better suited than you." For a second, I didn't know what to say. Me, the guy who was told he wasn't leadership material, being asked to run the entire company. I looked around the office, then out through the glass at the people working beyond it. I thought of all the faces, the stories, the lessons. Finally, I smiled. "Sam," I said, "I'll take it, but only if we do it my way." He chuckled. "That's exactly why I'm asking you." That night, I stayed late, long after the lights on the floor went out. The building was quiet, peaceful. I walked the floor alone, tracing my hand along the edges of machines, listening to the distant ticking of the cooling metal. Every mark, every noise, it all had a story of failure, repair, and persistence. In that silence, I realized something that had taken me a lifetime to learn. Leadership isn't about being the loudest voice in the room. It's about being the one who stays calm when the noise starts. It's not about standing above people. It's about standing with them even when no one's watching. And it's not about recognition. It's about responsibility. A few days later, I got a message from someone I hadn't heard from in a while. Craig. He'd left Reading Industrial after a merger went wrong. The company collapsed within a year. His message was short. "Heard about your promotion. You always had it in you. I just didn't see it back then." For the first time, I believed him. Not because I needed his validation, but because I knew he was right. He didn't see it, but I did. Eventually, over the next few months, I started something new at Colburn, a leadership program for floor-level workers. No fancy suits, no PowerPoints, just real people learning real skills: communication, problem-solving, accountability. We called it Ground Up, because that's where real leadership begins, on the ground, not behind a desk. The first session, I stood in front of 20 workers, some young, some old, all skeptical. I told them my story. Not the success part, The part where I almost quit believing I could ever be more than invisible. And then I said this: you don't wait for permission to lead. You start where you are with what you can control. You fix what's in front of you, you listen when others won't, and you protect people from chaos when you can. That's leadership. And if you do that long enough, one day the world catches up. Silence. Then a few nods. Then applause. It wasn't loud, but it was real. Months turned into seasons. The shop grew. We expanded into 2 new facilities. And every now and then, when a new manager joined, they'd ask me for advice. I always said the same thing: don't look for heroes, build them. Because the truth is, great teams aren't made by great bosses. They're made by people who care, quietly, consistently, even when no one's clapping. And when those people finally get their chance, they change everything. One evening, as the sun dipped low over the yard, I stood outside watching the workers finish up for the day. Laughter drifted across the lot, tired laughter, the kind that says we did good today. Beside me, Sam, now half retired, leaned on his cane. You ever miss being on the floor? He asked. I smiled. Every day. He nodded slowly. Funny thing about leadership, isn't it? The higher you go, the more you miss where you started. I chuckled. Yeah, but that's how you know you did it right. We stood there a while just watching. The light fading, the sound of doors locking, engines starting. Before he left, Sam said something that stuck with me. You know, Rick, some people build companies. Others build people. You did both. Later that night, I drove home through the quiet streets, headlights sweeping across old warehouses and half-lit streets. When I got home, my son was in the garage again, tinkering with an engine. He looked up and said, "Dad, I think I'm ready to start my own project." I smiled. Then start. Don't wait for permission. He grinned, eyes bright with that same spark I used to have, the one that made me believe I could fix anything. And for the first time, I saw my own story reflected back at me. Not in the work I'd done, but in the person I'd become, and in the example I'd set. Sometimes, I think about the version of me who sat across from Craig all those years ago, being told he wasn't leadership material. If I could speak to him now, I'd tell him this: you don't need their permission. You don't need their praise. You just need to keep showing up, because real leaders aren't chosen. They're forged. Forged in the quiet hours. Forged in the failures. Forged in the invisible work no one else sees. That's where character lives. That's where leadership is born.